so like as they're walking in, you're gonna zoom out, and so you can get more and more of them, and then they come sit here. So you could zoom back in once they get over here.
I'm being a retard right now. Show me exactly what you're gonna be doing.
Okay. So they're gonna come out at that door, right? And so they're gonna start walking out. Oh shit. And they're gonna go along here. So I'm gonna go here, here, and then they're gonna start walking towards the stage.
When they start walking towards the zoom out.
Yeah. And then they're gonna come sit right here. So I'm gonna point the camera here. And then after they come sit down, I'm gonna put it back on them.
I'm doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, would you please silence your cell phones, rise for the entrance of our
your family members, your friends, and the Delta Junction community. As you will hear in the next hour, the young adults sitting in the front two rows have accomplished huge tasks this year and many years before that. But with that, we want to thank all of you in the audience tonight and maybe watching at home, because all of you played a role in the success of these seniors. So thank you for coming. We appreciate all of you, and I hope you enjoy the evening. Thanks.
Good evening. Good evening to members of the board, our superintendent, the parents, community, but most importantly, to the graduating class of 2021. When trying to decide what I should say tonight, I thought it would only be appropriate to highlight some of the accomplishments that they have accomplished over the last few years. The class of 2021 has earned well over 100 college credits in this year alone, while also completing their high school graduation requirements. We currently have 12 students that have been accepted into college. We have a couple of students that are applying for internships. We have one student that's enlisted in the U.S. Army. There are 6 UA scholars, and we have 9 students that have met the requirements for the APS scholarship and the diploma distinction. And these are only a small list of the accomplishments that the class of 2021 has made. My goal as principal is not to determine what's best for each student, but my goal is to prepare them for the success and the path that they choose. I feel confident tonight in saying that they are prepared for whatever path they choose to take. To the class of 2021, this isn't the end, this is only a transition to the next chapter of your life. Think back to the people that inspired you to get to where you are today. In a very short time, you are going to be that person inspiring the next generation that will be sitting in these chairs. To the class of 2021 selected the individual to perform their graduation address tonight, and it's only appropriate that they have the opportunity to describe why and to introduce their speaker. Tonight, introducing the guest speaker is Ms. Sierra Irvine.
Our speaker for tonight has sparked many opportunities in our life. And we enjoy coming to school because we enjoy taking his classes. And with that, please put your hands together for Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Sierra. Sierra is our project manager for a project that we've been doing for quite a while, and we couldn't get rid of her. She showed up excuse me, I thought you could probably hear me anyway. Okay. And she showed up all this week to run her crew, so that's pretty admirable, okay? It's sure nice to see all of us in the gym here for graduation. This has been quite a year and a half that we've had, and a lot of folks have had to reroute, and we've all had to do something different to make this work. A lot of them are sitting here in these rows in the front. Quite remarkable what they've pulled off. One of the I guess proverbs or analogies or aphorisms that Mr. Hall happens to be famous for amongst his students is one that when you discover a difficulty or a problem, we want to go to a solution mode. We don't want to go to wringing our hands mode. And I think as a community and as a school, as families, I think we did that here in the last year and a half. We went to solution mode, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Okay. I do have a confession to make, though. When the seniors asked me to speak for them, I broke that rule, and I immediately went to wringing the hands mode, and I tried to weasel out of it. And but they, as they so often do, they turned the tables on me and pretty much pulled me aside and said, "Mr. Hall, you can do it. Just focus." And sound familiar? And to them, okay? I didn't know what my theme should be. At first, I thought one of the first things that came to mind was this could be called Mr. Hall's Revenge, but that didn't really seem right either, and I had a couple other choices that I won't say out loud. But really, when I thought about it, it came to me that this is about what Mr. Hall learned from you, okay, in all these years. And the more I thought about that, the more that came to mind. So this won't take over an hour and a half, okay? Mr. Lee told me I was limited to an hour and a half, okay? Because I've learned a lot from you, okay? It's been quite a ride. In addition to our hands-on training, a big part of our time is spent working on soft skills, work ethic skills, those skills that you can't touch but we all have and we all need. And I thought at first I'd put together just a little list of some of those soft skills and then explain a little bit about what I learned from you about those soft skills. Now bear in mind, I've had some of these students since the 7th grade, 8th grade, okay, in a shop scenario with tools that are sharp, with saws, with hammers, with screw guns. That's quite an accomplishment to actually make it here with all our fingers and all our toes, and I'll come back to you, Roman, in a moment. Okay, okay. And really, one of those tools that's been one of our biggest challenges, you may not suspect, and that's the measuring tape, the tape measure, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let me come back to something here. When I started teaching, a good friend of mine that taught in this system for many years, Jack Morris, had a couple of words of wisdom for me, some things that I should consider, and there were two. And he said, you're going to encounter students now and then they're kind of like somebody gives you a rock about this big, and they give you a tack hammer, and your job is you're supposed to break that rock all up with that tack hammer. And he said, you're going to encounter once in a while that situation with a student, and you have to just hang in there, because if you just work long enough with that tack hammer, it's going to work out in the end. Well, he was sure right. And I've not forgotten that. It was very valuable. The other one was, he said, if you can teach them to use a tape measure, you'll be the first one that's ever accomplished that. And being a carpenter is my background, and so I didn't quite understand why that would be so difficult, but he was right on that one too. We'll come to that. Okay. I learned that nodding your head up and down, you have a different meaning for that than I do. Okay. And I think any other teachers in the room will agree with me. We can ask a question, and we get this. Everybody's head is going up and down, and then you move on to actually use that information or that technique or whatever, and you find out that we had a different meaning for nodding our head. The tape measure. We study the tape measure, we use it, we demonstrate it. I feel like I'm getting it somewhere with that, and I ask them, now does everybody understand how we can use this tool? Here we get the heads going up and down. But, right? Then the first project shows up, and I get a question like this. Mr. Hall, what are all those little marks for? And now as a teacher, you're not supposed to use sarcasm with your students, but that's difficult to not do. That's difficult. My answer, that is like, well, I don't know. I thought you knew. And so that's been a challenge. Now, on the positive side, these faces I'm looking at right here, these people can use a tape measure. One of them introduced me tonight, right there, okay? My project manager. And that's where the rock and the tack hammer comes in, is you just keep going, just keep tapping away on that rock, and eventually it turns out well. Jack was correct on that. Very rewarding to work with these people and watch them progress as they do, okay? Vocabulary, that's one of those soft skills. Now this was one that's interesting when you work in a shop and you have all these tools and materials that you work with. Vocabulary is hugely important. And we have a saying in the shop, if Mr. Hall sends you to the tool room to get the blue one, don't come back with the red one. And what that means is we need to learn vocabulary. But what they've taught me is that vocabulary isn't really that important, because the words that I hear are the thingy, the little one, the big one, and one of my all-time favorites, the pointy one, okay? And I'm trying to figure out what it is they're talking about. Mr. Hall, I use that pointy one, or that little twisty thing, and it's hard to look at these guys, okay? Okay. Teamwork. There's another one. That's a good soft skill to have. And I thought that teamwork was like working together, several people working together for a common goal. I was mistaken on that one. What I've learned from you guys is teamwork is actually one person watching the rest of the team do everything, or, right, or one person doing it all while the rest of the team watches them, okay? And we've had it all, haven't we, Ben? Okay, we've had it all, okay? Problem solving, that's a big one. We as parents, as educators, we try to prepare our young people to be able to solve problems, to think it through, and to go out there starting tomorrow and make those decisions that we're not necessarily there to help you make. And hugely on the serious side, guys, I'm looking at a group that have become quite the problem solvers. They are using information and knowledge and the resources that are available to them to come up with the solutions that seemed pretty intimidating just a year or two ago, or a couple of years ago, or when they were a 9th grader and walked into this scenario and said, my goodness, look at this shop, there's all this intimidating equipment, this instructor that I don't know, he looks kind of mean, what am I going to do? And here we are today, you guys, I would put you up against anybody in the country, okay? I always, this time of year, want to take you out into the world so that we can show the world what you're capable of doing. And so I'm looking at some problem solvers here that I just have not seen a group as capable as you guys are before. You're to be commended for that, okay? Innovation. Now this is like, I've come up with a new idea. I found a better way to make something work. I think that I can improve the situation with an innovative idea. Now this story, this is a story about a person sitting right here in front of me. I had a group of 7th and 8th graders, and we're working on electricity. And this is hard to keep a straight face on. Don't look at me, Roman. Okay. And we're learning about electrical circuits, and I'm demonstrating and talking about how to use a voltmeter to test voltage in a circuit. And an individual out here in front of me raises his hand and he says, well, I've got a way that I use to test voltage in a circuit. And so we're all ears. We want to hear this. And he stands up because he's a frustrated public speaker. He wants to speak to people. And he says, well, now I got to be careful in here. I don't want the wrong ears to hear this. Picture, let me say it this way, picture a dinner fork and an electrical outlet. Now, this is a serious story. This is a true story. And so he used those two, and he said, when I poke that fork in that outlet, he said, and the sparks fly and I get a shock, he says, I know there's voltage there. When we regained our composure, we named him Sparky. And is Chris Morley here tonight? Any Morley? Okay, so there's a real prospect here. Sparky understands current flow. And Sparky's alias is Roman Bazan. Would you stand up, Roman? Roman. Did I get his name right? Roman, right? Roman, we're happy that you made it to the 12th grade and are graduating. Okay, we are glad to see you here. Okay. In electrical circuits, or in electrical circles, Roman has become a legend in his own time. That's called the fork test. Okay, the fork test. And there's another individual in here that I'd like to point out. Go back to the rock and the tack hammer. When we first encountered each other, we had a little bit of the rock and the tack hammer syndrome going, and we were starting to talk about building a boat in our program, building a welded jet boat, and this would be 4 years ago, I believe. And I have a boat background and a boat building background somewhat, and so I thought it would be important that we started out with a couple of classes, a drafting class and welding class, to learn boat terminology. So I put together a list of 25 terms of parts of a boat, and so I thought we'd start learning, at least we could speak the same language on how we're talking about initiating this design process. Well, this particular student didn't want to hear all that. He wasn't interested in the boat terms at all. He was interested in it either floats or it sinks, and that's all he wanted to know. Well, we didn't get too far with the boat terms. Since that time, guys, because of that tack hammer and the rock and some other things, because this individual is an outstanding individual, he's become one of our leaders in our school. He has helped me at the Career Center and taken a load off of me for the last 2 to 3 years. He had a 180-degree turn on that rock and the tack hammer attitude. He has helped me teach other students how to weld. He's become my lead aluminum welder. He's become my boat builder. He's become my right arm in our program. Wes, would you stand up? I'm not sure what I'm going to do without him, okay? Is Miss Turnbull here? English teacher. I went to Miss Turnbull. Wes's favorite class is English, okay? And he's been working with Miss Turnbull all winter to get through his English requirements, and I went to her a week before, like a week ago, and asked her, is there any way that you could fail him, that you could find a way for him to fail English class so that he has to come back in the fall? And it was too late. She had already turned the grades in. And so Wes, we've been able to, the Partners for Progress that operate, that we run the Heavy Equipment Academy in the spring. We'll start here June 1st. We've added a welding academy along with that, and we have hired Wes as an assistant welding instructor to help instruct in that academy. And so. Well, seniors, I know you've heard a lot of words of wisdom for 12 years from adults, and I'm going to, you're stuck here, you can't leave. You're going to have to listen to a few more. And I wish, one of the regrets I have, guys, up here talking to you, is that I was not able to work with all of the seniors. And I regret that. I would like to have everyone in the Career Center. I'd like to have everyone in our program so that I can work with you. Yes, we teach welding and we teach construction trades, but we teach about life. And now and then we teach the skill, okay? It's in that order. And this group has risen to that challenge like none other that I've had. And so I'm pretty proud of you, okay? I do want to whip a few words of wisdom on you, okay? And these are all going to apply to life, to everything you encounter, okay? Everything you do, whether it's build something, whether it's relationships. So just bear with me a moment, okay? When you bring a problem, bring a solution, okay? I think we've worked on that, haven't we? When we bring a problem, bring a solution. One of our shop, not a rule, just a procedure, is don't ask Mr. Hall where the broom is. What does that mean? Yeah, try to solve it yourself. Try to figure it out before you just immediately ask Mr. Hall where the broom is. The broom's sitting in the same place it's been for 15 years, okay? Find it, okay? So that will serve you well. If you have a problem, if you have and actually, I don't even like to use the word problem. I call it an existing condition because problem makes us all nervous and think, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Call it an existing condition. When you encounter an existing condition, try to come up with a solution and bring that along with it, and it'll serve you well, okay? Compete against yourself. Then you'll always know how hard you tried. This competition against the world or other people, yeah, you end up doing that, but if you just competed against yourself, okay, it's a healthy competition, and you'll know. When you look in the mirror, you'll know, well, I kind of slacked on that one, or I gave it everything I had. And if you give it everything you have, that's good enough. If somebody doesn't like that, that's their problem, not yours, okay? Give it what you have and compete against yourself, okay? Don't dwell on mistakes. Just learn from them and forge ahead. We're all going to make them. I've made 1,000 of them, probably in the last week, okay? But I don't let it drag me down, okay? You've heard this before, some of you, okay? Measure accurately, mark accurately, and cut accurately. And that could be with a 2x6 or a relationship. Think about that. Process that one, okay? It'll turn out well if you do that. Take on responsibilities so that you can show that you're responsible. Look for those opportunities to take on responsibility and be an individual. I'll go back to Sierra again. Look what this young lady did this week. Several of you have been in and out of the school all week. You didn't have to be here this week, okay? Helping us to finish up, okay? Helping us to finish up. And that's taking on responsibility so that you can show you're responsible. That's very important. Know what you know and know where to find out the rest. Okay? Use your resources. That's what that means. Find out the answer. Don't be so independent and with a chip on your shoulder that you don't want to ask. Someone can help you. That's teamwork. Okay? Be there for your family, your friends, and your community. They're there for you. Look at how you got here. Look at what's in this room. Look at the people that are in this room. Those things are very, very important. Okay? The most valuable lesson, I started out with deciding that my theme was going to be what I've learned from you. The most valuable thing that I've learned from you is you have renewed my faith in the future. You've made me more positive. You've made me not afraid of the future. And that's because of who you are. You've become quite the young adults, okay? You've become quite the individuals. The amount of talent that you have is just unbelievable. and you haven't even begun to tap it yet, okay? So one more, keep your brain a half a mile ahead of the spinner, and everything will work out fine for you, okay? Thank you.
If I could have the choir come down, they'd like to share a song with you this evening.
I'm dreaming wide awake. This is the life I make. Don't need a holiday to make me feel this way. Listen, I'll take a chance. You can sing, you can dance, you can live like there's no tomorrow. Give it time and you'll find there's a rule, there's a rhyme, move along and the rest will follow. I want you to know. Oh yeah, we shine like stars. Oh yeah, we shine like What are we waiting for? It seems we still want more. No one can take away the dreams we have today. And you know the call. There's a light that will burn inside you. Let's just live let the moment guide you. We shine like stars. We shine, we shine. Oh, we shine like stars. We shine, we shine. We shine like stars. We shine, we shine. We shine like stars. Oh, yeah.
So normally at this time, I get the privilege of introducing one student, but as with many other things this year, nothing turned out normal. When we talked about the achievements of the class in the beginning, this entire class is extremely competitive. We came down to figure out our valedictorian and salutatorians, and we literally were coming down to 25, 30 minutes before our award ceremony on Tuesday, trying to figure out who actually was in second place. It was so close that it was a tie. So for today, it is my honor to introduce our co-salutatorians, Miss Emily Bavard and Mr. Tyler Hudgens.
Good evening, everyone. It is our honor to welcome you all to the graduation ceremony for the class of 2021. On behalf of our classmates, we would like to say thank you for joining us for this momentous occasion.
First, we want to say congratulations to all of us for getting this far, getting to graduate, and finally finishing school. I think I speak for all of us when I say it certainly was not easy.
Over the last 4 years, we have all worked very hard, staying up till 2 a.m. to complete assignments, the time, tears, and anxiety that went into getting a passing grade on a test. These are some things that no one will miss from high school.
However, high school isn't all about getting a 4.0 GPA and maintaining straight A's. It's also about the memories you make and take with you. Hanging out with friends every day, making amazing lifelong relationships, and creating memories are some things I've been extremely grateful for in high school.
We have all done things in high school that will be in our memories for the rest of our lives. Whether it was academics, athletics, music, or some other activity, we all have things to be proud of. Although we are definitely ready for high school to be over, looking back, there are some things that will be missed.
We'll miss Mr. Schmidt's comments and comebacks to everyone. We'll miss Mr. Klein getting distracted talking about sports. And we'll miss Mr. Adams' lectures and stories about boats and rockets and cars and pretty much everything else you can think of. Mostly though, I'll miss every one of my classmates, from the ones I went to kindergarten with to the ones I've only known for 2 years. I can't wait to see what life has in store for each of us.
As we adventure into the real adult world, I think that it is important to keep in mind a certain quote from the author Dr. Seuss. Be who you are and say what you think, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. I encourage all of you to chase your own dreams, define what success is for you, and do what only you can do.
We want to say thank you to all of our teachers, coaches, and mentors who have helped shape us into the smart, young, independent adults we are today. And to finish up the speech, I want to say congratulations to the class of 2021. Thank you. Way to go!
And for tonight, our valedictorian is Mr. Woodson Hicks.
How is there this many people in Delta? Like, I haven't seen all y'all at the IGA or anything. This is crazy. Anyway, thank you all for coming out and joining us tonight, celebrating our completion of high school. I mean, this has been quite the path over the last few years. I mean, even back since kindergarten and everything, and I know we could not have done it without you all. Friends, family, the community of Delta Junction. You guys are great. But on that note, I kind of want to talk about some of the difficulties that we faced on our way here. And, I mean, I think you can already tell. I'm talking about COVID-19. This pandemic that started like a year and a half ago has rocked our world. I mean, both in and out of our regular parts of life and in our education. I mean, back last March, we lost, the last 2.5 months of school. We missed things, state testing. We missed sports seasons. We missed, you name it. And it just seemed like school had ended early and we were never going to come back. And then the summer came around, and obviously the pandemic didn't magically end. It wasn't just over because it's nice out again. We were still just as lost. We get to August, it's like, are we going back? Are we ever going to go back? Were we even there in the first place? Maybe not me, but anyway. So August rolls around and we get emails. We're like, okay, we're back, sort of. We started out in what we called yellow, where we had 3 classes a day, sitting 10 feet apart and split up into 2-3 groups just so that everybody could stay distanced in class. That didn't feel like school. I think I can speak for everybody. That was bizarre. And in some aspects, it was kind of nice, but at the end of the day, it was hardly school. And then finally, we get to, the day before Halloween, the last day of school in October, intercom comes on, we're all sitting in class. We're going home again, and we're not coming back until who knows when. So, it keeps going, months go by, Christmas break comes around, still nothing. Are we gonna go back? Are we gonna have a whole thing like last year again? So, we're waiting. Finally, January rolls around. We get those emails. We're back. We're back in this same weird schedule, this same, struggle that we had just been facing, and we weren't sure where we were going to go from there. And fortunately, about a month later, we were clear enough here in Delta that we got to go back to normal. And I think because of that is why we're here right now and not outside or online or anything like that, like a lot of other places across the country. And I'm extremely thankful for that. I love being gathered here with you all tonight. And honestly, this class right here of 2021, I just told you all, we've lost so much over, these past couple years. Sports season, even this year still, sports have been moved, changed, everything that we didn't get to have, these hanging out with people, getting to be seniors, we didn't really have that this year. But we still made it, we still finished, and I don't think you can find a more persistent class of students than this one right here. I don't think anybody works harder, does more than these guys right here about to walk across this stage. And, on that note, not everybody was able to join us tonight. I know that for sure, be it, not able to travel because of, the pandemic, not being able to just be here because of, likelihood of being sick and what that might do to people. And, it's been quite a rough ride, and I'm just so thankful for everybody, that's able to be here and everybody that's able to join us online. It means so much that you're willing to put the effort in to come watch us and support us, even now after all that everything's been through and all these past couple years. I think I can speak for everybody. We appreciate you guys so much for all of the support you've given us. And last but not so much least, on that same note, those friends and family that aren't here now, that can't be here now, reach out to them, check on them. This pandemic has not been easy. I think, I can speak for these guys again, in that, being stuck at home isn't fun. It's not great. When you can't go see your friends, can't go see your family. It's been months since, most people have seen people they'd see, on a monthly basis. It's crazy. But, shoot them a text, go visit them safely, whatever you can do, get out there and show some love to your loved ones. And with that, thank you all for joining us, and let's give one more round of applause to the class of 2021. No, it's taped.
Distinguished representatives of the Delta Greeley School Board, Superintendent Sean Striley, and administrators, teachers, staff, parents, representatives, relatives, and guests. As counselor of the class of 2021, I hereby certify that the students of this graduating class seated here before you have completed the graduation requirements of the Delta Greeley School District. Congratulations. Austin Durham. Abigail Grace Roos. Cody Allen Plagerman. Hannah Joy Helkin. Sierra Lynn Irvine. Noah Dylan Barber. James Joseph Caslin. Benjamin Dean Bialik. Pavel Vadimovich Maslovstov. Roman Bazan Jr. Cadence Denise Wilkins. Mercedes Lane Owen. Emily Blake Bavard. Jocelyn Marie Williams. Braden McLeod. Corianne Kahoali'i Torres. Abigail Grace Howell. Wesley Scott Hullenbeck. Raina Elizabeth McGee. Woodson Whitfield Hicks. Kai Alohi Kalama Elkins. Alexander John Hilton. Gabriel Alexandrovich Bogdanov. Victor Viktorovich Malik Jr. Stephen Joshua Fredericks. Kevin Dean Verts. Dakota Catherine Scott. Carly Ann Henniger. Tamra Hodges. David Novotarski. Darren Peter Jelm. Daria Alexandra Malik. Alvina Ivanovna Budnik. Tyler Charles Hudgen. Niobe Nanish Candelaria.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the graduates of Class 2021. Let's give them a round of applause. Please rise as the graduates exit. The graduates will be lining up along the side wall if anyone would like to greet our graduates after the ceremony. There will be a parade that will start after a short intermission after the ceremony. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Please greet our graduates along the wall. The parade route will follow the route from last year, and the parade will start in approximately 25 minutes.